All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Now, last time in the last episode, we learned how to do the little crouch walk so that you can get underneath hard to reach areas. Now, in this episode, what I want to learn how to, or I want to teach you how to do is let's implement a interaction system because we need to be able to pick up a weapon and swing it. So we're not done with putting in the animations, but we need to have a way to pick up weapons. So, or, objects so that we can make weapons because we're going to actually craft the weapons. So in this episode, let's do an interaction system. It's not going to take long at all. First thing you need to do is go to your third person folder, your blueprints folder. Here, we can right click and go to blueprints, and we need to create a blueprint interface. And we're going to call this the interaction interface underscore BPI, blueprint interface. Open that up by double clicking on it, and you'll see that it has nothing in it. It's just like a place where you can put a function. All we need to do is rename this function. Where it says new function, let's call it interaction or interact, right? Interact, boom. Compile and save. You don't necessarily have to put any inputs on it or anything like that here. We're good to go. We may come back and tweak this interface later, but now it's done. So you can close it down. Next thing we need to do is open up our third person character. So double click on your third person character, and in the class settings at the top, click the little gear, and on the right hand side, you're going to see all the way at the bottom, implemented interfaces. Right now, there are no interfaces. If you press add, you can find the one we just made called interact. Interaction interface BPI. So now we need to tie that to our character, compile and save. Now, anything we interact with, we also have to tie that interaction blueprint to. And that way they'll be connected. So next thing we need to do is let's find a blank space here. How about right here? And we'll do, we actually need to make a button for interact. So most times in games it's E. So remember how we were making buttons before. Go to your content folder or your third person folder, inputs, go to actions, right click, make a new input action by clicking on input and then input action. And we're going to call this one interaction. All right. Now, go back one folder into the mapping, and let's make a mapping for it by pressing the plus sign. And this one came up, so we're going to find the interaction one we just made, interaction. All right, and now interaction for the button, I'm going to push E for mine. And for the other button, for the gamepad button, I like it being triangle. So that's the top face button. Face button top. Boom. Save. All right. Now what we can do is type into our third person character in the blank spot, interaction. And we want the enhanced action event, the one with this one right here. And it should give us the red. That's exactly what we need. Now, on started, we can drag off, but we need to do, for this one, actually, we need to do an for each loop. So on started, we'll do for each with a break. But we want to see if it's overlapping any of the actors that have that interface. Get overlapping actors. Sorry, you want to get overlapping actors first, and this is the array that you want to hook it up to. So get overlapping actors, and then which actors do you want to see if they're overlapping? All the actors. So come down here and select actor. And for all those actors, you want to see, do they implement the interface? So say does object implement interface right there? And the interface we want to check and see if it implements is the interaction interface. the interaction, the one we just made. Cool. Now, because this is a red, it's asking us a question. So we need to put a branch there. It's saying, does it implement the interface? Yes or no. So let's hook that up to our loop body. And if it does implement the interface, all we need to do is call the function that we made in our blueprint interface, which if you can't remember what it was called, you could just come back into your interface, check. Ours is called interact. So what we'll do is from true, we'll call interact. Now, you want to call it from the interface, but you want to make sure it has a message on it. You got the branch in here, you're asking, does the object implement the interface? Then you drag off the array element, so from the object, and we're going to say interact. And we want the one with the message. So that's the one we want. Hook that up into true. We're still not done because we need to call this break. The break basically in the for each loop, it tells the for each loop, as soon as it finds the one that it's looking for, to stop. So as soon as we do find the one we're looking for, we need to drag this all the way back around to the break to tell this for each loop to stop. And if that's a little bit too messy for you, you can actually clean it up. Just double click on the line and you can clean up your lines. All right. Cool. All right, so that should have our interaction implemented, our interaction interface implemented. So now when we walk up to something that has that interface, we'll be able to interact with it. So let's show you how that works though. First, we're going to comment it, and we're going to call this interaction system. And click the bubble when zoomed. I want to add to that interaction system in a moment here, but let's test it out. So the way we need to test it out is we need to create an object or an actor. So let's make our first pickup here, y'all. And it won't be the most prettiest pickup, but that's okay. In our character folder, third person blueprints, we're going to make a new folder called assets, ASSETS, assets. Double click in there. You could call it models or whatever, but I'm going to make one new folder called pickups. And inside this folder, I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a blueprint class. It'll be an actor. And I'm going to call this one my master pickup item underscore BP. Okay, master pickup item. Let's double click on into that. Here on the left hand side, you'll see it's blank and everything else is. The first thing before we even get started, because we need to interact with this, let's go to the class settings. And on the right hand side, implemented interfaces, let's pick the one that we need, which is interaction interface. Compile and save. Now this object can be interacted with. So in order for us to see some things, let's add some things to this object. First, let's add a static mesh. A static mesh is going to be like the actual object, like the 3D object. In this case, let's just make this, let's call it cube, or let's just call it mesh. Actually, sorry. We'll call it mesh, but we'll make it into a cube. So over here on the right, in the static mesh, just search for cube. And cool, you got a cube. Compile and save. Now, what we need to do for this cube is let's give each one of these master pickups a little field where the character can walk into it and it recognizes it. That's called a sphere or a box collision. In this case, we're going to use a sphere collision. You can see it down there is very small, but you can make the sphere radius bigger on the right hand side. So I'll do something like that. Now when the player gets close or inside of that sphere, we can write some code. Compile and save. I just made it 245 if you're curious. All right, let's write the code for that sphere. So while that sphere is clicked, you'll see that it's highlighted there. Scroll down on your right-hand side and say on component begin overlap. So we can have the name of this sphere pop up. So in order to do that, let's give it a variable called name. We'll do that in a second. We'll do that in a second. But before we do that, let's just make sure that we can interact with it first. So when the interaction does happen, we need to write to see what's going to happen. So interact, type in interact, and you want to add an event interact. So now we can write our own event so that will interact whenever the player interacts with this. The sphere is just so that the player can get close to it, but we can also write our own code for the sphere. But right now we're just going to write the interaction code. What happens? Let's just make it delay so we can see this in action for 2 seconds and then destroy actor. Okay, so delay for 2 seconds and then destroy the actor when we interact. Compile and save. Let's see if that works. So we got the sphere, we got the player. We'll walk over here, E, delay, and delete. Perfect. So our interaction system is working. Now let's go ahead and continue to work with this master pickup item. Let's go back into it actually. Because what if we wanted a name of the item to pop up? So each item should have its own name. So what we could do is press variables, press the plus sign down there, and we'll write name. And this will be a literal name. You can have it as a text or a name. I'll do it as text to make it easier. Okay. Now, what happens here? So we need to make the text of the item pop up right when we walk into it. So how will we do that? First things first is this item needs to have a widget on top of it to show that text. So in our pickups, let's go ahead and right click and we'll go down to user interface, widget blueprint. User widget, click on that one. And we're going to call this item name underscore WB for widget blueprint. Double click on that. And you're going to see it's blank here. I think that's fine. All we need to do is add in some text. Let's just try desired on screen for now. And this text block is going to have to be variable. But for now, we'll leave it alone. So when the third person characters, let's go back to our master pickup item. And we're going to say when the third person character, so that's the other actor, overlaps the sphere, we want to create a widget. So create widget. And what widget do we want? The one that we just made, which is called item name. Now, here's what you could do. You could do it that way, but let's actually do it another way. On the left-hand side here, let's go back to the viewport. On the left-hand side here, right on the mesh, let's click on the mesh and then press add, and we're going to add a widget. That way we can see it here exactly. Now that's a little bit big, but here's what we're going to have to do. Push screen, and it's probably going to be 100 by 20. I think that's it. And we'll move it up here. Okay, compile and save. Okay, perfect. So that's when we need that widget to pop up. So let's scroll down on while the widget is selected. There should be something that says visible. Here it goes, visible. Uncheck visible. Compile and save. and go back to your event graph. So when the third person character overlaps that sphere, we're going to grab that widget out of here and we're going to set the visibility. So set visibility, hook that up, and make sure new visibility is checked to true. All right. So all that's going to happen now is it's going to read. It's going to pull up the widget. It's going to make that widget available once we step inside that sphere. Let's test it out. 3 saved, save. Try setting it on world, maybe. 100 in the X, 20 in the Y. Damn it. Maybe because I didn't put any text there. Okay, go back to your widget. And for the text block, this is test text. Compile, save. Custom. Compile, save. What you want to make sure you do is come on the right hand side and go to widget class and make sure you choose the widget item name that we created there. And then you'll see it right here. And this is a little bit wonky here, but it's okay. Let's go back to that. I think item name, I think we should have it on desired on screen. Desired on screen. All right, compile and save. Okay, compile and save. And this is in world. Let's see if this works now. Walk up to it. Oh, there it goes. It's not two-sided though, it's one-sided. Okay, let's make it two-sided. The way that we're gonna do that is, here, I'm already there, but click on your master item, and in the widget over here on the right-hand side, you're gonna see the material for that widget, which is over here in elements. Click on this magnifying thing for that. Okay, so for the material that you want to use the one that's called widget 3D pass through mast. Click that one up here, make sure that it's here. And now, also one more tweak. When you go to your item name, come up here, and for the screen size, I actually decided to go with custom, y'all. And then I put the width at 100 and the height at 20, and then I just shrank the text down to fit inside. This way, when I walk over to this item, the widget should be visible. Now, let's click on the sphere of your master pickup item and end overlap. So when they end it, copy, paste, the third person character is the other actor, hook that up. All we want to do is just copy everything, copy, paste, set visibility back to invisible, so unclick new visibility. Now, for the name of the item, we've got everything working right. So let's test it out, and then we'll come back and make sure the item is the correct name. So right now it says this is a test. This is test text, and perfect. So when you get close to it, it tells you that you can interact with it. Remember, if we interact with it, it's going to wait 2 seconds and disappear. All right, now what we need to do is make sure that test text changes depending on the item. So go back to your master item. Actually, go back to your item name. And what we're going to do is for this text right here on the right hand side, let's bind the text. So where it says content here, this is test text. Bind it, create binding. And what we want to do is get all actors of class. We can get master item as the one, master pickup item, and we'll say get. And from the get, So just drag off the other actors and say get. And from get, literally just type in get. I don't know if you saw me do that. Just get. And then it'll say get a copy. From get, we need to get the name. So right here, get name. And we'll plug that right on in. Therefore, in the master item, right now, if we go back to the master item and we give this one a name, which we won't give it a name here, we're going to leave it blank, but we will turn on this eyeball here. So that means outside of here, we can give it a name. So from here, we can give it a name. And that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to delete that one, and I'm going to put another one back into the field. So let's put that right there. And we're going to give it a name. So drag off your details panel over here on the right. And the name, you'll see it right here on the default. It's going to be on the right-hand side, it's right at the top. We'll call it SQUARE, square. So theoretically, because we called it square, when we walk into it, it should say square. And it shouldn't say this is a test text anymore. Let's test that out. It says it, square. Perfect. So that is how you get an interaction system with pop-ups so that every item now, when we put any item in the game, whether it be a square, a cube, a stick, a rope, or whatever, it's going to pop up with the name of the item right on top of it. And that's exactly what we want, because next episode, we're going to learn how to pick up some stuff that we need to craft so we can craft a weapon. And then if we can craft a weapon, we can start collecting things, that's what a survival game is about. So thank y'all for joining me on this one. I hope you learned something. I'm going to try to cut this one up to make it smooth and fluent. And I guess I'll join y'all on the next one. Peace.
Run to the money, on the feet, don't fail. The DA and the judge, wanna do their best to jail. I done heard it all.